We are getting better, but it is still there, and the suicide rate is still the leading cause of death between the ages of between the ages of 15 and 44.
Yeah.
We lose nine people every day. 7 of those are men,
Yeah.
and for every completed suicide, another 30 people attempt. And that's just the numbers that we know.
Yeah.
Even one life lost each day is just too many, because these are all preventable deaths.
G'day, legends. Welcome to another episode of the Interchange podcast, and thanks for joining me for another week. Did you know that 9 Australians take their own lives every day? And out of this statistic, 75% of them are men. The problem is that 100% of these suicides are preventable, but as men, a lot of us struggle to speak about our emotions as it is, and obviously there's a massive stigma around mental health that needs to change. Now, my next guest, Lyons, has made it his life's mission to do something about this and rewrite the way that we deal with mental health. After losing one of their best mates 10 years ago, Dwayne Lally, Lyons and Sam Webb started a foundation known as Livin, and the tagline is, "It ain't weak to speak." So what they're trying to do is change the face of mental health forever, because until we do, these statistics are going to continue to grow. So stick around, have a listen to the episode. There's some great value in there, and I think that there's an awesome message around what we need to start to do as a community to really tackle mental health. I'll see you in a second. Casey, thanks for coming out today and having a yarn on the Interchange podcast, brother. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day.
My pleasure. Man. Anything to get out of the office.
Yeah, and probably away from the kids too at times.
Yeah, they're at school today, so
yeah, perfect.
Might play golf after this.
Tough gig, eh?
Got to take them wins while you can.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Now, for people that don't know you, you're the founder of Livin, which is a foundation which brings awareness around mental health. And I think the big thing that drew me to you guys and wanting to have a chat with you, Casey, was, I guess, the whole "it ain't weak to speak," the tagline itself. And I think that, especially for men, this is something that a lot of us get brought up is like, don't be vulnerable. Men, it's weak to speak. It's weak to show any vulnerability. So I love what you guys are doing around not just men's mental health, but mental health in general, and actually creating a platform where it is making it okay and acceptable for men to come forward with that sort of stuff. So just to, I guess, go into a little bit further, where did the whole idea for Livin and everything like that come from?
Well, mate, it started in probably the most tragic sort of way. We lost a great man by the name of Dwayne Lally to suicide. Dwayne and I met first day of grade 1. He was my best mate.
Yeah.
And growing up, we did everything together. Played footy, just everything that you do with your best mate. And we were rat bag boys, and we had a lot of fun. But yeah, it was his sort of tragic passing that rocked us. And after that, we were kind of confronted by the statistics that surround both mental health and suicide in this country. Dwayne lived with depression and bipolar. It came on in his late teens. And it was something he had a hard time, I suppose, getting help with. For all those reasons you mentioned in the intro. He felt weak, he felt like a burden. But he didn't quite understand what was going on. He didn't know why he was different, or he didn't know why he was up and down all the time. And unfortunately, if there wasn't such a thing called stigma, he probably would have got the help that he needed, and the help that would have got him back living a healthy and happy life again. So that's why we started what we do, and now we go right around the country delivering education into schools, businesses, sporting clubs. We sell Livin branded apparel, so it does raise money for us, so we can continue to deliver those sessions into school for free. But it also starts conversations. It ain't weak to speak is often plastered on our clothes. And
yeah, I've seen that around a lot. I've seen it even in my boxing gym. So I box out of Wicked Bods in Service
Oh
Paradise.
yeah, Mark Matthew, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that he's very big on mental health as well.
He's a very good man, and he's a staunch supporter of ours.
Yeah, 100%.
And if we look back, it'll be 10 years this year since we lost Dwayne. Never could I imagine that we'd have people like Mark repping Livin and repping us with pride. And it just shows how big of an issue this is, and I suppose how far we've come since we started.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that. So going back to when things first started, obviously tragedy like that obviously sparked the idea. But how did one go about, I guess, setting up a foundation that is now just, I guess, known around Australia, if not around the world?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think being naive, and I don't recommend this to anyone, I think it helped. It helped us because I think had we been a little bit more business savvy, we probably would have seen challenges. We would have seen roadblocks rather than opportunities.
Yeah.
And as I said, I don't recommend that to anyone, but that helps then. Back then, social media was a little bit different. It was a little bit easier to, I suppose, grow a following. It's probably easy still for some people, but, we could just...
Man, I struggle with that shit. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to computing.
Right, me too. But, I think back then, with our shirts, we'd give them to the people that we knew that had a great following, the NRL players or whoever, and they'd just whack it on and say, go follow Livin. We know you can't do that anymore. It doesn't quite work like that, but that helped us grow quite quickly. Early days, we knew that we just wanted to do something. We had to make a change, and shirts was probably the first thing we did, just because that was easy, low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
But quite quickly, we knew that we wanted to do more.
Yeah.
And we realised that there weren't many charities doing what we wanted to do. There are plenty of great charities and organisations out there helping people along their mental health journey, but we felt as though there weren't, there wasn't an organisation like the one that we created, which was educating people about how to talk, where to talk, how to look after themselves, and focusing more on that proactive aspect and pushing people towards those service providers. Yeah, cool. So, there are great service providers in this country. It's about finding them and finding, the right fit for you. And that's why we created Livin.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing with Livin obviously is trying to erase that stigma around mental health. So I guess from where you guys started to where you are today, have you noticed the difference with the people you're communicating with, and I guess even the people that have started to follow your movement?
Yeah, absolutely. I do believe as a society we have more awareness. There's certainly more awareness. There's a lot more education, but there is still stigma, and it's still stopping people from accessing the support that they need. We are getting better, but it is still there, and the suicide rate is still the leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 44. Yeah, we lose nine people every day. 7 of those are men. Yeah, and for every completed suicide, another 30 people attempt. And that's just the numbers that we know. Yeah, even one life lost each day is just too many, because these are all preventable deaths. Yeah.
So I guess, what would be the warning signs that you would say for people to look out for with this sort of stuff? Because like you said, these are the things we know about, but there's so many people still struggling out there in silence that haven't spoken or haven't, I guess, brought it to other people's attention because they might feel like it's a burden or something like that,
Yeah, warning signs and symptoms. It's certainly something we sort of talk about in our programs, and there are certain or there are more common warning signs. They can be quite contradicting too. So what I'm getting at there is some people can be really happy, just to hide what they're going through, whereas other people can be, I suppose the definition that external people use it, depressed. They're sad, they've lost all joy in life, they're angry. Weight change is another one. Some people can get really overweight, whereas other people can lose a lot of weight.
Like stress type of thing?
Yeah, I know when I get stressed, I lose weight. Yeah. I notice it when I haven't seen people in a while. They say, oh, geez, you're looking skinny. I said, geez, thanks, that's a compliment. But that's just the stress. It just comes straight off me, whereas other people, it goes the other way. Substance abuse, people sort of finalising things, so going out of their way to say thank you or sorry for something that, in the back of your head, you're like, what? Why did they say that to me? That can certainly be a warning sign. People that are showing up late, that always show up early, or vice versa. As I said, there's a lot of contradiction. So what I like to say, the number one warning sign is that feeling in your gut that something isn't quite right. Yep. When you know the people around you and you know them well, you get that feeling.
You feel like something's off.
It's always, well, I always recommend just reach out, ask them what's going on. Yeah. They might blow you off, but say, no, mate, I've noticed X, Y, Z lately. It's out of character for you. Normally you're doing A, B, C. What can I help you with? Yeah. What do you want to chat about? Using those examples puts it, I suppose, it smacks them in the face and they can't hide from the behaviours you've seen. Yeah. And another question we get asked is how do I start that conversation? I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
there's a lot of research out there that suggests that it's very hard to say the wrong thing if your intentions are pure.
Of course.
If you want to help that person, you can stumble, fumble, bumble your way through that conversation.
Yeah.
But as long as you're listening to them and listening to what they have to say without judgment, avoiding any distractions, oftentimes that could be the support that they need to have them feeling better. And you can then, I suppose, support them on their journey to seeking professional help.
So it's more so just about being present, actually being in that moment and holding space for them, would you say?
Absolutely. It's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to sort of notice those warning signs first to reach out.
Yeah, for sure.
But it just comes from knowing the people in your life, and even the people you don't know. Like we've all had that feeling before where you felt something isn't quite right. It's better to reach out and ask or explore what's going on than to not and something bad happen.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, you spoke already about going into schools and going into businesses and talking to them about obviously mental health and awareness and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Apart from that, what sort of other events are there that people can get around and get involved in? Because obviously, I know there's a lot of people out there that have actually, that's 20 push-ups and 20 squats. I said obviously out of context. I'm doing this challenge to try and break it. Anyways, I'll do that later. But there's so many events that you guys run, like fun runs, things like that. I know people can raise money for you guys through obviously your website. There's another one.
Yep.
That's twice.
Yeah.
Keep myself accountable here. But yeah, so like what else is there that people can do to get involved with Living and obviously to help, I guess, create more support around that issue?
Yeah. Our events, they are, they're amazing for one, but they're so
I've been to one of the
diverse.
fun runs, man. That's sick.
Yeah, they're just diverse. Like we've done, your bake sale at your school fete, all the way through to like 24-hour events in Townsville, running up and down Castle Hill.
Yeah.
And I use that sort of example because it just shows that we've done it all. We've done touch tournaments. We run up and we don't run down it, but we run up the Q1. We did the stair challenge.
Yeah.
Involved with the Gold Coast Marathon. We once had a gentleman who was quite crazy. Through the month of August, he ran a marathon every single day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that a couple of years ago?
Yeah. I can't remember. I've had too many head knocks in my day, but
Yeah.
it was probably 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And his name's Jake Malby, and just what that shows us is a man with a why can bear almost any how. And he had a goal. He set that goal, and there was nothing stopping him from achieving that. And to run a marathon every single day in the month of August is. I've never run a marathon in my life, so I could
1%
just.
of the world has.
There you go.
1% of the world has the stats on it, so.
There you go. So he did that every day in August. He had a great cult following. He called himself Forrest Gump. By the end of it, he did look like Forrest Gump. So, our events are diverse. And Mark Matthew, Wicked Bod's Gym, they do a lot of fundraisers for us through various challenges in the gym.
Yeah, they did like 100 stations in 100 minutes.
Crazy.
Last year, man, it was wild. It was sick.
Conveniently, I always happen to be away when these events are happening.
Funny that worked out like that.
But all support that we receive is greatly appreciated because we don't get any support from the government. We've never, I suppose, applied for that. We've never wanted to be dictated to by them.
So just quickly, let's go back to that. So when you say dictated to by the government, if you're getting a grant from them, then you're sort of almost under a barrier of what you can and can't do. Is that right?
If you apply for if you apply for funding under a certain scope, you are meant to deliver on that scope. I meant more from the fact that if the government are ever doing anything that I don't agree with, I want to call them out and hold them accountable. Not that I've ever done that.
Yeah, rather than have to be silenced.
Yeah, and early on too, it was we didn't know how to write grants. We spent a long time writing a grant. We were unsuccessful. We went, right, we need to pivot and we need to focus on things that we can control the outcome of.
Yeah, community-based type stuff.
Yeah, so, I'm not saying we won't ever apply for government funding. We haven't so far. So we are so appreciative of all the fundraisers and the community fundraising support that we receive. We've also got some great corporate partners that have done some amazing things for us. And without that support, we wouldn't exist, as simple as that.
Hey, hello. Sorry for interrupting your podcast, but I just wanted to quickly jump on and tell you about the must-have personal development tool for 2023, and it's called the Happier, Healthier You Journal. So I'll take you back to about 6 years ago. I'd just gotten out of jail for the last time and was starting my journey of personal development and growth. There was heaps of gurus, heaps of information available, but so much so that it became confusing. So I came up with the Happier, Healthier You journal to help you to navigate what can be an absolute minefield. From the very get-go, you open the page and it'll challenge you to dive deep with self-assessments, daily activities and check-ins to figure out exactly where you're at, where you'd like to be. And then from there, the journal becomes the tool to help you to bridge that gap. So to get your hands on this, click on the link below and don't forget to use Interchange 10 at checkout for a cheeky 10% off. I'll see you back over on the episode. Yeah, and so Livin's been around now for 10 years?
Dwayne took his life September 2013.
Okay.
We started pretty quickly after, but we weren't officially a charity until 2014.
Okay, cool. So about 9 years now.
Yeah, it's blink and you miss it. It's gone that quick.
And it's obviously grown so much in that time from, I guess, where it started out to the baby that it is now, you know?
Yeah, we've got 8 staff here on the Gold Coast. We've got just over 20 facilitators right around the country that deliver our program. They're contractors. We've got a great base of volunteers and supporters right around the country, and we are just so grateful. But suppose we receive a lot of support because it's such a big issue. It affects so many people, whether directly or indirectly.
I think that mental health is something that everyone has come across, and if they haven't, they will in their life.
Unfortunately, that's the statistics will tell. Well, they represent that 1 in 2 people in their lifetime will experience some form of mental illness.
Yeah, and
that's huge.
So that's exactly right. Like literally, like everyone say, what's the actual statistics between, I guess, how many people in the community are struggling with mental health? It's like 1 in 5 or something like that, is it?
Yeah, I don't like statistics for that reason. They vary. I've seen 1 in 4, 1 in 5, 1 in 2 in your lifetime. They change from year to year. What I say is they're bad regardless. That's why we all have a role to play. And even if that role is just working on yourself every single day and bettering yourself and practicing daily self-care. Daily self-care is not selfish. It makes you a better human, a better member of society, a better parent, a better brother, whatever you are, it makes you better at that.
Man, I love everything you just said then, because I am a firm believer in that, because whether you know it or not, obviously the person you are reflects up on other people. So if you change yourself, you can in turn change other people by being that positive influence in their life.
Absolutely. People do get a little bit scared when I talk about self-care, and self-care doesn't need to be going for a run, outside for an hour. Self-care is something that you can do and can do consistently for at least 10 to 15 minutes each day. Whatever that is, whatever makes you happy and feel good about you, just do that.
Cool. So
I love getting outside in the sun, but, not everyone does.
Is that like what you'd say you do every day for self-care, is like getting out in the sun? Is there other things as well, or?
Yeah, I like to, when I wake up in the morning, I like to get outside as soon as possible, go for a walk. I don't like to pick up my phone usually until I'm in the office.
That's huge, isn't it?
I just don't need to deal with those distractions, or they can wait. They can wait until I'm at work. Just want to start the day off with my family, getting outside, getting those legs turned over. A big one for me is golf. I love golf, just getting outside. It's me versus me, just trying to get better every single time. I've got a long way to go because I'm still rubbish. I'm still rubbish, but I just like being out there, and obviously family time too. I got 2 kids now, and they just bring me so much joy, seeing them grow and getting to see them experience things for the first time, and the joy that brings them. It's what life's about for me.
Yeah, man. It's the journey, isn't it? Seeing them grow up. So obviously my little boy, he's 4, and every day I swear he just comes home and it's just like different part of his personality. He's got something else he's interested in, or this or that. And like you said, like before, like you blink and it's gone.
Yeah, it happens too quick. I suppose that, what do they say? The days go slow, but you look back, the weeks and years go very fast.
Oh man, especially as we get older, I feel like the years just go like that.
There is a scientific law that does state that every year your life does go quicker. I don't know why, but apparently it's true.
I've heard that as well, and I think it was something around obviously the memory. Like as your memory starts to go, you start to, I guess, forget more, and in turn, the years seem to go quicker because you don't remember obviously the length of the day or what's actually happened throughout the entire day. Because I could go a whole day and you'd ask me what I did yesterday and I'd be like, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't tell you.
Mate, I'm the same. That's why it's got to be in the calendar. Otherwise, I don't show up or I forget.
Even organising this appointment, we did it like 3 or 4 weeks in advance, but sent the email out so we both had it there and just had to know.
Got to. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or if I had too many head knocks. I don't know what it is, but yeah, memory's not the best anymore.
Yeah, I know exactly what that's like, man. Now let's step away from Livin for a second and talk about Casey.
Sure.
So, obviously, Livin has taken a big part of your life, a big chunk of your life. But what's in the future for you?
Oh, the future.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt again, but if you're liking what you see so far, don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. Remember, all your support is really appreciated, and I'll see you back over on the episode.
It's hard. I often think of that question, and I don't see a future without Livin.
Cool.
For me, that is my purpose now, and I'm lucky to be able to go to work every day and help people live a better life. You know, some days are better than others. You know, it's still a job at times, and it gets hard to get in the trenches. But when I sit back and reflect, I am so lucky that people always talk about what's your purpose in life or find your purpose. I'm lucky that I've got that. I didn't find it. It kind of fell in my lap, and you know, if I had, if I could, like I'd give it all up just to have Dwayne back. But unfortunately, I can't change that. So yeah, I don't see a future without Livin. But I do see a future with a little bit better work-life balance. Something I often preach. I need to practice better myself.
You
but
and me both, my friend. You and me both.
It's just hard. But I know that it's so worth it.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
No more kids, I don't think. So I can rule that out. That's I'm sort of nearly outside of the war zone. The first sort of 2 to 4 years of their life is just no sleep, running around like a headless chook. We're slowly getting our lives back as parents and as individuals too.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know, just growing this movement that is Livin far and wide. Like we are just barely touching the surface at the moment. We've got a great foothold here in southeast Queensland or maybe on the eastern seaboard, but we needed, that growth needs to expand the whole entirety of Australia. I'm sure people right around Australia know who we are, but like they need to know who we are. And then worldwide, everyone needs to know the message that we're pushing.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess let's say next 10 years for Livin, what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, well, great time. We had a board meeting yesterday where we spoke about this, and
so I'm getting the juicy guys.
there was a lot of talk around disruption. Like if we've seen how far or how fast and quick AI has disrupted our lives this year, and we're only just getting started with that.
Tip of the iceberg, really.
Tip of the iceberg. The way in which we educate, school kids or even businesses, in 10 years, it's going to look completely different to what we're delivering today. The fundamentals and the basics will still be there because they transcend time, they're universal.
Yeah.
But it's going to be delivered completely differently because I don't know how we'll interact with the kids in 10 years' time. I'll be an old fella by then too. I'll be
10 years, mate, come on, it's that far away.
I'll be in my mid-40s, so I definitely won't be cool. Not that I'm cool now, but we'll have a little bit of a youth injection in the charity. They'll be helping, I suppose, inform what we do, but it's going to look completely different in 10 years. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what that might look like for you guys?
No, we went round in circles yesterday because it's all speculation at the moment.
Yeah.
We just know that we need to stay agile and we need to change with the times and adapt quickly.
When you, I guess, first started out with Livin and obviously founded it and I guess gave birth to the amazing thing that it is, what was the original goal?
To save one life. And that still is the goal, but it can be so much more than that. Like saving one life is amazing, and I know that we have, but how can we save as many lives as possible? And unfortunately, it's hard to measure because there's so many people who will never hear about the impact we've had on their life. Yeah. We're so grateful for the people that reach out to us and tell us how we've changed their lives. I've got a card that sits on my desk as a reminder. It's got a $10 note in it. Yeah. And it's from an anonymous lady, but she says, hey, Livin fam, I was at an event and I didn't have my wallet and you guys were kind enough to give me a sticker and I put that on the back of my car and that sticker is the reason why my 3 daughters or 3 kids still have a mother. I was on the way to my car to take my life, and I saw that, and it saved my life. So here's the $10 I owe you. I thank you. So for me, that's been there for 3 or 4 years now. It's always going to have that $10 note in there. It's always going to sit on my desk, because that's that reminder when times are getting tough, we are helping people, and I just need a little, dig a little bit deeper and just get through it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Now, my audience is diverse. So I've got people from all ages, all walks of life. And there's obviously going to be a lot of people out there that are probably struggling with some of the issues we've spoken about today. What would be, I guess, the biggest piece of advice, or the pearl that you could give that one person that might be struggling with this mental health and doesn't have the courage to speak up? What would be the one thing you'd tell them? Or what would be the one thing you'd give to them?
It's a journey. Like, it might be so dark right now, and I get that, but there is light at that end of the tunnel. You just need to keep going. I suppose the metaphor of one foot in front of the other. Life is worth it, because we want to get people living again. It doesn't matter how hopeless you feel, or how I suppose bad you feel. It can get better, but it will take some work. You can't get over it. You can only go through it.
Of course.
You got to put that work in, and if you start on that journey, you might have 10 great days.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say right now that you won't have bad days.
That's life, right?
It's a journey. You just got to keep showing up every single day, putting in that work, surround yourself with good people, because there are people in your life that care, and there are people in your life that will do anything to keep you here. You just need to reach out. You need to give people that opportunity to help you. And then you need to let people help you.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Like, obviously there's so many people that, I guess, need help. They can't ask for help, but then when they might even get the help, they can't receive it.
Absolutely.
What would you say that is?
Well, the stigma is a massive one. And I suppose intergenerational trauma. There's so much trauma inside of people these days. It's just killing them without them even knowing it. Also, reaching out to professional help can be quite daunting. I get that. And for some people, the first person they reach out to, they might not have a good fit with.
Man, I can connect with that. I was seeing psychs and counsellors and stuff from a young age, because my mum thought that I had mental health issues. And I hated going. The last thing I wanted to do was go and talk to these people. And I think that's another thing as well, is like a lot of people don't want to talk to someone that's in a suit, sitting there in an office reading out a textbook. They want to talk to someone that's had that real life experience, right?
Absolutely. And there are some great mental health professionals out there.
Couldn't agree more.
And like I sort of compare it to my wife. She was the first girl I dated. I dated a few girls before then.
Yeah.
And it was all about finding the right fit, the right compatibility for me as a human. And then when I found that, we got married eventually.
Yeah.
But I didn't, same as a pair of shoes. You don't always buy the first pair of shoes you try on.
I really like that. I've never actually thought about it like that, because obviously everyone's going to gel differently with different people, right?
Like, we're not all friends with everyone. We're not all enemies with everyone. So it's about finding that person that you connect with. And it could be your best mate, or it could be a mental health professional. But all I'm saying is find the right fit, and then stick to that. Keep yourself accountable and stick to that journey. If you go on 5 sessions in a row and then you miss one, that's okay. Just get back on the horse.
Yeah.
Just don't stop. That's my advice. Do not stop.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people will struggle with as well. Is like you said, you've got a really, really hot streak. You're doing really, really well, and you slip off, and it's like that all or nothing sort of mentality.
And that's okay. That's life.
Yeah.
Like, be disappointed in yourself for slipping off, but don't dwell on that. There's only one way to fix it.
Right?
Get back on the horse. Yeah, be disappointed you fell off, but don't stay down there. Get up and keep going.
Now, if there was, I guess, a message that you'd like to get to your children, that you could give out to them around this whole, I guess, stigma around mental health, because obviously you're working in schools and all that sort of stuff at the moment. What would be, I guess, the message you'd like to see them growing up in the schooling system that we have? Because between now, when you guys are doing, I guess, your seminars and your talks and your workshops with schools, to when your kids are going through the schools and actually at the age where they'll sort of probably receive that kind of thing, there's going to be a big difference, a big gap there.
Yeah.
What would be the message you'd like to see them receiving?
I want them to treat their mental health like their physical health. Like
Yeah.
growing up, if you've broken your leg, yeah, you might be tough for a little bit and try and walk it off.
Yeah.
And suck it up for a little bit, but eventually you'll go see a doctor, you'll get the cast, and you'll do the recovery. Unfortunately, our mental health, because of stigma, there's that word again, we've just tried to shake it off for too long.
Yeah.
It could be because we can't see mental health. You can't put a scan up on a screen and show people what depression looks like, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, whatever it is. Therefore, you can't define it because you can't see it. So people don't believe it's real, but it's very real.
Yeah.
So I think for my kids, I just want them to accept it like they accept their physical health. You get the flu, what do? You stay home, you put the good things in your body,
Yeah.
you look after yourself, you get better, and then you get back out into the world. Because I believe that the best prevention is early intervention.
Yeah.
The sooner we can hit things, the sooner we can try and turn things around, the easier it is.
For sure, man.
I'm not saying, it's it's going to go away or it's going to completely fix the issue, but the sooner you can get on top of things.
Just that awareness, right?
Absolutely.
Being aware of the actual issue itself.
Absolutely. And secondly to that, because they accept mental health just like physical health, there is no judgment from them onto the people in their lives if they're struggling. They're there to support them, and it's just second nature. And that's why that's the original reason why we decided to deliver into high schools.
Yeah.
The old saying of you can't teach an old dog new tricks kind of rung true in my head. We wanted to get into the schools, get these kids early so that they grew up and it was just ingrained in them as second nature.
Yeah, I think that's like even in my age, like I'm only 31, right? And this is never something that was talked about or spoken about at school as well. We had guys come out and talk about, don't do drugs and don't do this and don't do that and whatever.
Condoms on bananas and shit. Like, that sort of shit, yeah.
Yeah, but there was never this, I guess, anything around mental health.
No.
And I think that's another big thing as well is this is my opinion once again, but I feel like the current medical model for mental health is broken. It's, go and get on SSRIs, and a lot of the time it's misdiagnosed from what I've seen.
Yeah, it can be, absolutely. Like our physical health too, unfortunately. Pharmaceuticals are oftentimes, I suppose, they just throw people on them early without proper exploration. I don't want to knock those because they certainly work for some people. And once again, it comes down to the fit, because also dosage can be a tough one. You can get whacked on the wrong dosage, knock you for 6 on the right dosage.
Some of your friends, that sort of stuff play out where it's literally just like a completely different person.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes it is prescribed as a one-size-fits-all approach. But, I've seen people without their medication, they wouldn't be here. And they swear by that. Whereas other people, they're just not compatible with it for whatever reason. But just stay curious. Just find what works for you.
Yeah,
please. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so with mental health in Australia and the way that I guess it's, like you said, transformed, even in the last 10, 15 years with the awareness, which way do you see that going for the future?
Only getting better.
Yeah.
We're quite, I suppose, advanced with what we do in Australia with our I suppose, mental health awareness and education. We've got some great universities in this country doing a lot of wonderful research, and I only see it getting better.
Yeah.
Access to support services are getting better. You can now, people living rural and remote can get face-to-face mental health sessions over Zoom. That didn't exist.
That's great implementation right there itself.
Didn't exist 5-10 years ago. Yeah. And the biggest barrier for these people getting the help that they needed was the fact that a mental health professional would fly in once a month.
Yeah.
The waiting list was, out the door. Oh, I won't bother. I'll wait till next time, or whatever the reason was. Yeah. There's a lot more support options out there for people now. There's text message service, Some people like to communicate through text. I hate it, but for other people, that's what works for them, so good on it.
Yeah, you lose half the emotion, I feel like, with text, yeah?
Oh, I hate it. I'm too lazy, probably. I don't know what it
Do you
is.
voice note?
I voice note. I'm always a caller. I've come from
Yeah.
that era, but especially when you're like 10 text messages deep, you're like, this could have been fixed with like a 2-second phone
Literally
call.
like voice note,
Yeah.
phone call, back and forth for 3 seconds. Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's just the options. There's more options available to people. And as the general public become better at looking after themselves and looking after the people in their lives, it's only going to have better outcomes for the people that need it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Now, obviously, something that there's obviously again, wow.
That's all right.
Something that you said earlier was obvious. Again, I went to do it. Something that you said earlier was that you were struggling with, I guess, to find that balance. And you know, in the next 10 years, you'd like to try and find that balance for your life. And I think that's probably something that a lot of Australian males and females probably struggle with. It's that balance, and maybe things might get a bit stressful.
Yeah.
So, what would be, I guess, the strategy that you'd like to put in place for yourself that other people could sort of put in place for that as well?
So for me, it started from like early days when it was literally just me, the co-founder, and my wife working. Like there was still so much work to do, and I just put that before myself. So
The business?
yeah, just growing it and just, I suppose, hustling for lack of a better term. And it was hard because I felt so good and we were helping people.
Yeah.
But at that time, I wasn't sort of looking after myself. I wasn't prioritizing my self-care, and I paid for it. I got diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis.
Okay.
So I've got psoriasis, which is like a skin condition, but psoriatic arthritis is that plus rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, yeah.
So I went from, I know I was about 94 kilos when I finished playing footy, down to, I think I checked into hospital at 78 kilos. I was in hospital because I didn't know what was wrong with me. I kept getting blood test after blood test and they couldn't pick it up. And it was in every single joint. And I rolled over one morning, said to my wife, I don't think you should marry me. I think I'm dying. Just because I couldn't tell me what was wrong. And she took me straight to the hospital. The doctor knew what it was straight away, injected me with prednisone, and I could have run a marathon out of there, although I looked like Skeletor. But yeah, absolutely. I looked a bit like ET, still had a bit of a gut on me. But the reason I sort of share that was the moment when I sat there and I knew that if nothing changed, I could end up dead, or I could end up just losing it all. And now Livin operates best when I create that routine. I get away, I recharge, and I come back with more energy, more vitality.
Yeah.
It doesn't die when I'm away. Not that I ever thought that it would, but I suppose I don't know. I also thought I can't slack off. I can't take days off. So it's about creating that routine, holding yourself accountable, and starting small. And that starts with daily self-care.
Yeah.
And then one thing I'm working towards is time blocking. So I'm going to go really hard for 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to take a week off.
Yeah, man.
Doesn't matter if I don't go anywhere, but I'm a week out of the office, a week
recharge.
phone off, recharge. You know, I'm lucky. I live out in the mountains here on the Gold Coast. I've got plenty of great mountain bush walks around.
Yeah.
Plenty of things I can go do, but it's keeping myself accountable and sticking to that, because in the long run, it's only going to be better for me, better for my family, and better for Livin.
Yeah, for sure. That's something I guess a lot of professionals struggle with, is that burnout. They get to the point where they're just trying to push, especially as a business owner. There's no one else to do it, right?
Absolutely.
So you think you got to do absolutely everything. You got to carry the heavy load, and then you get to a point where it's just like, well, I can't do this anymore.
That's kind of me at the moment. Like, I'm coming to that point where I do need that holiday. It's been a busy this year. We've had a lot of things going on that I unfortunately have needed to be here for. But yeah, I now recognise that, and I'm putting things in place. Me and my wife will be on a holiday very soon.
Amazing.
I'm not letting it get to the point where it's too big of an issue anymore.
Yeah. So let's say that you got that completely under wraps and obviously had the balance. What would a perfect day in the life of Casey Lyons look like? A perfect day.
Yeah, wow. So I'd wake up, not too late,
Yeah.
get outside, go for a walk, do a little bit of work, I suppose. Maybe play a bit of golf in the afternoon. Finish the day with a burger.
Yeah. I definitely thought there was going to be some golf in there.
Yeah, it's important. Like golf or going camping. Me and my family, we love to go camping. Just getting away, resetting, and just seeing the kids out playing all day. It's good. It's good to see.
Things, eh?
Yeah, and sitting around the fire every night, having a couple of beers, and just talking to new people, sharing life experiences with them. It's that's what we enjoy doing.
Connecting with others.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just getting out there and seeing new places.
Yeah, for sure, man. Now, I really appreciate you coming out, Case, and having a yarn today.
My pleasure.
If I was to ask one last question, so this is something I ask a lot of the people that come on here. If you had all the money in the world, all the money, you could do anything with it, what would be the first thing you'd do, the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, I thought about this 2 weeks ago when I think Lotto was at 100 mil. We can all dream. Yeah. Obviously, I'd create an investment fund for Livin. So Livin is just set up for eternity, outlives me. That's the goal, creating something that outlives me.
Leaving your mark.
But one thing my wife and I want to do is travel around Australia in a caravan.
Yeah.
And I know we don't need all the money in the world to do that, but that's I suppose
sure would come in handy, right?
Yeah, number one thing on our bucket list. So there's that. There's all these other things that they're too long to sort of explain. I had these theories around buying houses, letting people rent them for like really cheap, putting that rent into like an investment fund for them, and then after like 5-10 years, giving all that back to them plus the house. It's like the best form of savings for them.
That's cool.
Just random people. Like the other things I was thinking about late at night when I thought I was going to win the 100 mil.
Just ways to give back.
Yeah, just, you only need so much in life. You only need enough to be happy. And if you can then share that with as many people as possible and make them happy and comfortable, well, that's a life well lived, I believe.
I think that's really cool to say because it comes back to contribution, which is one of the basic 6 human needs that Tony Robbins talks about, right?
Yeah.
Variety, certainty, significance, contribution, growth, and love, right? So contribution is such a big part of it. And I feel like there's a lot of people that sort of, I guess, miss out on that. They're so worried about themselves rather than what they can actually give back to the community, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I look at that in a different light from the work I'm doing, but always make sure my family's looked after and my close friends, because without them, who are you? What sort of life you living? I'd like to have a farm too, actually. A few cattle.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
passion project.
Yeah, one day where we live, we've got quite a rich guy here on the Gold Coast. It's his weekender with a hobby farm. It's this massive big castle, and I look at that. It's not my style of house, but it's good to aspire to be able to have that sort of, I suppose, freedom in life.
Yeah, for sure, man. Now, if people want to find you, Casey, or even find out more about Livin, where would be the best place to go for that?
Mate, www.livin.org, and on all the socials. We're even on this new thing called Threads, I believe. Although
that as well,
I'm more of a Twitter guy, at livin.org.
Yeah. And if someone wanted to set up a fundraiser of some sort to help support the cause, how would they go about that?
You can find that information on our website, but if you're having any troubles there, just email us at info@livin.org. Awesome. As I said earlier, we would appreciate any support, and we do appreciate any support that we receive. And even if you can't afford to donate or put on a fundraiser, if you're interested in volunteering or just giving us a follow and practicing the message we preach, that's greatly appreciated too, because we all have the ability to save someone's life.
Yeah. It's all about support, right? So if you guys aren't following Livin already, please do, because it is an amazing cause. And like I said, Case, I really appreciate you coming out today, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.